Hello, everyone. Like many of you, Simon and I have been enjoying listening to the Beamer podcasts, and it's encouraged me to get back to some of the things that I used to do in my Bible study when I used to do word searches and follow the words through and explore them a bit more. And today I want to just think a little bit about the idea of shadow. As someone who likes photography, then obviously I'm interested in light and shade because you can't get a good photo without those things. You need them both. Um, but also, I think because recently we've come across Psalm 23 quite a lot, and in thinking about this season of lament and loss, we think about the notion of walking through the valley of the shadow of death, it being a difficult place, but knowing that God is there with us. So I had a little look at the word shadow and the word shade and followed it through, and it is used in the Bible to indicate those times of difficulty and trouble, but it's more often used as a notion of a place of protection. And some of this is obvious, really. It's a physical protection, because in the Middle East, where it's really hot and sunny, then anything that gives a bit of shade and provides that protection from the heat of the sun, especially in the middle of the day, would be seen as something valuable and important. But shadow is also used sort of metaphorically or poetically, if you like, about the nature of God, and God being someone who provides that shade or shadow for us. We see that in the writing of the prophets. For example, Hosea talks about people will dwell again in his shade, they will flourish like the grain, they will blossom like the vine. So this sense of it's God's provision, it's God's protection for his people, and it's something that they long for. Most of us would have been reading some of the Psalms, especially Psalm 91, where it talks about the shadow of his wings. And in fact, that phrase occurs quite a lot in other Psalms. Psalm 17 and Psalm 57 are a couple of other examples. And in Psalm 63:7, it talks about not just being under the shadow of his wings as a place of safety, but a place where rejoicing can occur. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. And so that got me thinking really about, the nature of shadows, the nature of shadows in our lives. But I then went on to discover that in Genesis 1, where God says, let us make man in our image, that the root word used for that term, in our image, is also the root for shade and shadow. And so I have, this creative brain that just starts to think about what might that look like and what that might mean. But this sense really that actually when God said, let us make man in our image, he was saying, let me make them a representation of who I am, so that when people see them, they see me. And we know that the nearer an object is actually to the light source, then the bigger the reflection gets. And I was just kind of thinking that, the implication for me then is, if I want to be a reflection of God, if I want other people to know that I am made in his image, then the thing that I need to be doing is actually getting closer to God, closer to that light source, so that the representation is truer, and I am that reflection of him. I am that shadow or that shade that shows him to the world. And so I got quite a lot out of this little thinking about shadows, starting from that place of, they're not always good, to actually recognising that sometimes those times in our life where we feel perhaps as if the light has gone, we can't see it, we're in some darkness, or we feel a bit low, or we feel a bit flat, that actually, we might be hidden by God. He might be protecting us from something by covering us with his wings. That it is a place we can run to when things are difficult, and it is a place where we can learn to sing again and worship him. But I guess most of all, what I just want to encourage you, as I'm encouraging myself, is to just keep pressing into knowing more of God, getting closer to God, so that we can all be that representation of who he is, so that people looking at us will actually see we are made in his image. Bless you all.